Okay. So we're gonna, this may look a little different. Page 3. Is this page 3? Is that the same page 3 as your page 3? Yeah, okay. Listen carefully. Vertically opposite, do you remember that? So I'm pretty sure on the video I'm quite specific, like, to not mix it up. So you kind of have to follow the two lines that you want to find a vertically opposite angle for. And right, I used highlighters to identify, right? These two would be vertically opposite, and they're always the same. They're always the same. So this is going to be key for you to figure out other missing angles if you just remember that. Okay? I talked about supplementary angles, right? The one line that adds up to 180, however many angles are along that long line, that would be 180. I talked about these two. These are very important. Sum of the interior angles of a triangle add up to 180. I will use this a lot to justify. So you will find it a little annoying that I'm going to ask you to justify how did you come up with that answer. And sum of a four-sided shape is 360. Okay? Don't think it's always going to look like a box. It could look any shape, right? If it has four sides, you know that the interior angles add up to 360. So these two are very important to remember. I reviewed a little bit of three-letter notation for angles. Did I tell you that I do not like three-letter notation personally, but I need to bring it up on tests and quizzes. So I'm gonna give you the total right to just go ahead and make up your own letters on the diagram so you're not mixing things up. But you need to once read it, right? Angle ABD. Just read it the way it says, right? ABD, ABD. So it's that angle that is formed by connecting the 3 points. I call it Z here on the example, right? So go ahead and do this so you're once and for all, you can get rid of the three-letter angle notation and just focus on the angle that you're trying to find, okay? We talked about parallel lines. They just, right? So the joke here is it's too bad that parallel lines, they have so much in common but they'll never meet, right? That's the joke there. But parallel lines, they never meet, right? They go alongside. And then there's something we call the transversal. The transversal is the one line, listen carefully here. It's not always that you're going to have the one line cutting. You may have more than one line cutting through, right? But the transversal is sort of the one we focus on, right? We kind of focus on this transversal here and the angles that are alongside it, okay? So that's what we're going to focus on a bit more today. And do you have those four distinct angle pairs? I hope. It's on page 5. That's the last thing I asked you to fill in. What do we call them? Right? We have the corresponding angles. Sorry, can't see that. Corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, consecutive interior. So these four are going to be really handy down the road. Okay? So you got to make sure you remember that. And we're going to continue our journey through it. I'm looking at 4, page 4, we're good there. And I will tell you one more thing. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside right now. Go back to our notes. Like for me, this is blank because I didn't copy this down. But I'm going to tell you something here. This booklet is basically two big parts. Two big parts. From pages 1 all the way to page 31, we're basically doing the same thing. So let's go to the front of the booklet. Part 1, pages 1 to 31. And this entails, right, parallel lines, finding mystery angles, and proving lines are parallel. Okay, so if you're thinking, oh boy, like why are there so many pages here? Why are we like they're basically doing the same thing. I just kind of maybe increase the difficulty as we get to the higher page numbers, okay? Part 2, page 32 plus, I'll just say 32 plus. It deals with polygons. And that is to be continued, right? Like we're going to get there soon, okay? But we're going to spend 2 to 3 days on part 1, and then we're going to switch over to part 2 where we deal with polygons. So your hexagons, pentagons, dodecagons, like all those gons, right? We're going to figure out how to deal with that, okay? So remember that. So let's go to page 5. I would strongly suggest that on your study sheet you have some sort of way to quickly identify which one is which. And maybe I'll help you out real quick here. I'll just give you a little cheat here. Let me just find a blank page. Should I use the front? No. We're going to go to the back. Let's go to page 79. I'll just give you a quick way to, this is a suggestion. 79 or any of those blank pages. I may use the other one, so let's all go to 79. Okay. 4 angle pairs in no particular order. 79. In no particular order. Corresponding. Okay. Corresponding angles. You're just going to do something like this. You're going to have a transversal like that, and 2 lines go like that. And we identify that these 2 lines are parallel. And I'm going to use a highlighter. Or if you just want, if you have just a marker or a pen, it'd probably be easier to just say, right, this one and this one are corresponding. Okay, if you don't have a highlighter. If all you do, if all you have is a pencil, then maybe call this 1 and 2 and just say 1 and 2 are corresponding. And then we have alternate interior I would just have, right, my transversal going like this, and then 2 other lines going like that. And there, the alternate interior, where are they located? It could be these 2 here, or it could be these 2, right, as long as they're inside. So I'm just going to stick with, no, sorry. Yeah. What's easier fix here? I use pen. I'm going to use a white out here. The downside of using pen, right? It's this one and that one, right? So that would be a classic example of alternate interior. Very simplified though. Sometimes it's going to be a little harder to identify. Okay. And I'm going to block this here. I'm going to split this into 4 here. You should make this smaller, to be honest, but then it's alternate exterior angles, right? Corresponding angles is always angles. It's a pair. You could just have something like this and like that, where you tell yourself, right, alternate Alternate always means on the opposite side of the transversal, right? That's the key here. So if this is one exterior angle, alternate exterior would be right over here. And last but not least is the CIAs. I don't know if you called it that way on the video, but consecutive interior angles. And that, yeah, they would be on the same side of the transversal. And it's kind of nice that they're right beside each other because both of them are interior, correct? You've got your alternate interior, you've got your consecutive interior, but the key word is here is the alternate interior, opposite side of the transversal. So these four, I'd strongly recommend you have on your study sheet. Don't use up as much as this. This is way too much. I've seen students make it really, really small. Just tell yourself because you may forget down the road, okay? So this is on page 79. So I'll go back now. Back to 5. And I always like to cross-reference, right? You just see, just go see page 79 for summary. Right? That you tell yourself that on page 5, hey, this is summarized on with fewer letters and fewer numbers in the mix. Okay. Next, so now we're going to do a little bit of a new concept, and then we're going to use those concepts to calculate and find the missing angles. We're actually going to come up with numbers. Okay, so let's go to page 6. Angles formed by parallel lines. Conjectures, these are propositions and conclusions that were made. I'm going to summarize this using like layman's terms, right, so that we can all understand what's happening. But the conjecture is when a transversal intersects lines that are parallel, then all of the following statements would be true. That alternate exterior angles are congruent. The symbol for congruent, I don't know if you kept watching, you probably saw that. Equal sign with a third wave is congruency. It just means they're the same. Alternate interior angles are congruent. Corresponding angles are congruent. Consecutive interior angles are supplementary, so they add up to 180 degrees. So that's the only one that is not, they're not equal to each other. Okay. So this is what that says. Here you go. If a transversal cuts through parallel lines, that's the symbol for parallel, then alternate exterior angles are congruent. Alternate interior angles are congruent. Corresponding angles are congruent. And CIAs are equal to 180. Okay. Come on. There you go. If what? What does it say? If a transversal cuts through parallel lines. Only when this is the case. If the transversal cuts through lines that are not parallel, we cannot make this statement, all right? We cannot make that conclusion. So this is if lines are parallel, then this is true. We know this of all of them. Sure, got this down nice, and so this is the short version of this box up here. So if you want to have this on your study sheet, you go for it. On the other hand, I will say this. On the top of this, proving that lines are parallel, okay? That's what we're doing with this box is we're trying to prove that lines are parallel. So if you're able to show that one of the following is true, how many? If you can just prove me that one of these is true, then in fact we can say that the lines connected by the transversal are in fact parallel. Okay, so this is the question. Are lines parallel? Question. Okay. Show that one of the following, two F's is following. I should look that up actually. That's what I always did when I took notes at university, because the professors don't slow down. They're like, just everything needs to be shortened. Okay. Alternate exterior angles are congruent. So if you're saying, you know what, I'm going to focus on alternate exterior, I look at them, I know where they are, and I look at them and the number is the same, everything else will follow to be true as well. Oops. And I'm going to add something. I didn't do that in my original here. But I'm going to say you either prove that this is true, or this is true, or this is true, or that last statement is true. So you only have to focus on one. But then, in fact, you can say lines are parallel. Mr. Dixon, what's the difference between them? They kind of look the same. This one is stemming from the fact that we are told that lines are parallel. We can count on this. This one is asking, hey, here's the diagram. Do you think lines are parallel? We're going to have to show that one of these is true. And it turns out that if we can do so, they all end up being true. But we're just going to focus in on one, okay, to do that. Did I do this diagram on the video? I'm not sure. Down here? You probably didn't get that far. You stopped at 5. So let's go look at this diagram here. Oops. Would you say that if we focused on these two lines, so let's put AB at the ends of that line, and this is CD. And the question is AB, segment AB, parallel to CD? Question mark. because they kind of look parallel, correct? This one looks like it's never going to meet this one if we were to extend it indefinitely to either side, correct? But how do we know for sure? Let's focus on one pair. Alternate exterior. If you just focus on, let's do this. This is transversal 1, and we're going to call this transversal 2. Say what? Yeah. In a sense, we're going to say this. In a sense, we're going to be like, forget about this transversal for now. It is 1, but we're just going to focus on this transversal here. Where are the alternate exterior angles? When this is transversal, cutting two lines, we would say that this and this are alternate exterior, correct? This sticky note is too sticky. Anyways, these are alternate exterior. So we can say answer, yes, since alternate exterior angles are congruent. You're done. You're done. However, could we go further? I'm just going to highlight alternate exterior angles in orange because that's what I use to identify them. Are 62 and 62 alternate exterior as well? And they're the same. So you could have gone with those two and said have the same conclusion. What is this angle? Look at my pencil. This angle right here and this one right there. What do we call those two? Corresponding, right? Are they the same? Yeah, so you could have also made the conclusion here, yes, they're parallel because corresponding angles are the same. What about the 118 here and the 118 there? What are these two? These are alternate interior, and they're also the same. So lines are parallel. So that's why I say just focus in on one pair, identify it, and just make your conclusion. Okay? So what about this side? From this side perspective. This is our transversal. We already know that AB is parallel to CD, right? Sorry, I'm a bit too excited about this. You're probably like, I just want to go home already. We already know that. It's not going to change, but let's look at this transversal here now. Okay, let's focus on that one. What are these two here? This one and this one. They're called CIAs. Yeah. CIAs. Okay, I know that. By the way, okay, take a step back. They're not always going to be either congruent or add up to 180, okay? But in this case, they do. So we could conclude here that AB is parallel to CD, right? Because consecutive interior angles are supplementary. So for some of you, it's going to take, oh, you can't see that, can you? So AB is parallel to CD because consecutive interior angles are supplementary, or you can say they add up to 180 degrees. So I'm not too picky on how you justify, to be honest. Use your own words. I'm showing you two different ways of doing it. But that is the key. And here's where I'm going to use my iPad real quick to just show you this exact diagram, but maybe bring it to life a little bit. You ready? Sorry, I'm blocking you for a bit. Okay, this is the exact same diagram. Okay, so once these two lines are the same, it doesn't matter what I do to the transversal. Is the pen not working? Hold on. It's my pineapple pen. I don't know if you've ever seen that video. Apple pen. There we go. Yes, I'm going to continue using it. I'm not sure. Okay, there we go. So even if I were to move this transversal, what happens to the numbers? The numbers may change, but look at this, right? Alternate exterior angles are still 75 here. Same with the 105 and the 105. The CIA still add up to 180 here, and they also add up to 180 here. Alternate interior angles are still congruent here as well. So it doesn't matter what I do, either I shift it or I actually completely move it. Once these two lines are known to be parallel, that's it. But watch this, okay? I hope I can do this. If I were to bring this down like that, you can clearly tell these lines are no longer parallel, correct? And watch this. Alternate exterior, are they congruent? No. So we would conclude they're not congruent. Like AB is not parallel to CD, okay? So don't be thinking, oh, it's always going to be the same. And the lines kind of look like this, they're the same, but don't fall for it, okay? So I'm going to take it back to its original state. Another one here. Watch this. This could also happen to you. I could do this to you. Let me move this a little bit. Let me move this back a bit. What happened there? Okay, let's look at something. Do you see triangles here? I see a small triangle here. I see a bigger triangle there. I see a four-sided shape right here. Do you see that? It's called a trapezoid, but don't worry about it too much. What do you think these four angles should add up to if it's a four-sided shape? 360. Does it add up to 360? I don't know. I don't trust myself. It's Friday, right? So 126 plus 120 plus 54 plus 60 adds up to 360, right? So keep in mind that I will start adding layers to it, and literally that's all I'm doing. I make these using GeoGebra, right? This app right here. So if I do that to you, don't fret, like don't be scared. Just know that it's just two transversals crossing. What I do see a lot is that students want to focus on both transversals at the same time. Don't do that. One transversal at a time, okay? That's all that I want you to know there. One more curveball here. Ready for this? Is it possible that these two transversals could be parallel as well at some point? Like this one and this one? Yep. Watch. What does this number and this number have to be? They have to be the same, yeah? Let me see if I can make, I probably won't be able to get it done, but if I could, that would be great. There we go. There. 54, 54, 126, 126. So now all of a sudden the transversals themselves are also parallel themselves. What do we call the shape that is in here? It's called a parallelogram, where these two sides are parallel, right? And these two sides are also parallel. Okay? And you're like, whoa, it's too much, Mr. Dirksen, I can't handle it. That's okay. I just wanted you to have like an interactive version of, and maybe to see how are things going to change as we go along. Okay? And I will bring this back from time to time to show you and verify properties. Okay? Let's continue. Let's see how we how would we do this. So I'm going to skip a few pages here and take you straight to page 9. Page 9. This is, we're starting very basic here. Very basic. So in page 9, it says, calculate the unknown values. Show your work, watch this, show your work and justify your answers, okay? So I want you to start thinking this way. Whenever you see those arrowheads within a line, they're guaranteeing you that these two lines are parallel, Okay, they're guaranteeing you that. This is on page 9. So what do we know when two lines are parallel? We know that the 4 pairs, we know something about those 4 angle pairs that I just talked about earlier. So, in this case, this is your mystery angle right here. That's unknown to us. What do we know about these two? They're alternate exterior. So in this case, I don't like the question mark, to be honest, but question mark is going to be equal to 116. Why is that? Alternate exterior, yeah. Angles are congruent. So it's going to be a little annoying that way. Because I know some of you will just know it's 116, but you won't know how to justify. I don't care how you justify it. Some of you might want to write out the whole thing. It's okay with me. And even if you say they're equal, they're the same, I'm okay with that. You don't have to use the word congruent if you don't want to. Next, over here. So you see a number, that's always great. But I want you to focus in on right now is that they're guaranteeing you that these two lines are parallel. Which means that this acts as our transversal right now. And so this is a number, and that's a question mark. What do we know these two angles as? Alternate interior, that's correct. So question mark is equal to 100 degrees. So that's all I want you to practice for the next little bit. Alternate interior angles, we know are congruent. Folks, this is a given because of the fact that these two lines are parallel. Okay, that's why we can conclude this. Friday, right? Can I tell you, just pay attention to this. If these two markings had not been there, could we have made this conclusion? No. There's still alternate interior, all right? There's still alternate interior. That doesn't change. But the fact that we can bank on this being 100 is given to us by this fact right here. Those 4 angle pairs, we know that corresponding alternate interior, alternate exterior, they're always congruent, and CIAs are 180 every single time. Okay, so I'm going to give you some time, a couple minutes, to do the rest. So this is page 9 to page 10. All right, and then I'll ask you to try 11 as well. Gets a little trickier. So for now, do your best. Okay, try to justify what's question mark, what's that number, and why is it that way? Like justify why that is the number you chose. Okay, take your time. I'll go over it. Zero risk right now. Thing after today. I'm going to skip a few questions, okay? So go to page 9. Let's go to, let's say, question 6. Okay? So by the way, if you don't have these markings, you need to prove that lines are parallel. You need to show that, right? And we're going to talk about that on Monday. For today, we're just going to say, hey, thank you very much. You told us that they're parallel. So we know that question mark is going to be 180 minus 101, correct? It's going to be 79 degrees. Why is that? Because I know that consecutive interior angles are equal to 180 degrees. That's my reasoning for assigning 79 to that angle. Okay? That's just how you do it. So I'm going to skip a few more. If you write this down, go for it. I have the key. I'll post it. I know some of you want to know all of them. I can't do all. Maybe I'll just talk like this. This would be alternate exterior. So this is 56 because of alternate exterior angles being congruent, given that it's a parallel line. Okay, let's go to page 10, question 11. I'm interested in that one. So I'm getting warmed up for the next stage here. Find the measure of the indicated angle that makes lines U and V parallel. So this is your line U, this is V. We want to know, can we put like the parallel symbol in there? What would question mark have to be? These are consecutive interior, right? What would question mark have to be? It has to be 180 minus 63. Okay, guys? So question mark is 180 minus 63. 117? Okay. This would have to be 117. Why? Because when you add these up, you get 180, and that in itself makes U and V parallel. Okay? And you're like, what about this line here? Exactly, nothing right now. It doesn't do anything to us right now, but be ready for more lines coming in the mix. Okay? Like for example over here. Like let's say question 9 here. I could easily just grab my ruler, and when it's AC time, I could just do this. Or this, right? Like I could add more lines to it, but you just focus on one transversal at a time. Okay? Let's see what happens along this line. Oh, I know that these ones are alternate interior. They're going to be the same. Okay? Okay, let's go to 12 here, or question 12. Or maybe, hold on. Let's do 15. Question 15, this one right here. Because this is an interesting case. Yeah. These two are called CIAs. What about this line here? Yeah, it's just another one in the middle. So sometimes, right, you focus on U, right, line U and line V here, and what happens to the transversal. So this is, question mark is 180 minus 90, correct? So that's 90 degrees. And this is what this must be, so that CIAs are 180. Yeah?
You have to show it like subtracting the CIAs, or can you just put like the degree?
Usually you're fine just showing, yeah. I just do it because, right, for you to know what I'm doing. What about 17? Let's go to 17 here. Focus on this transversal, right? So transversal and UV are the lines in question. So what is this angle and this? Alternate exterior. But Mr. Dirksen, this one looks like it's inside these two lines, right? But just focus on V and U. If you just focus on those, right? These are on the outside of these two lines in question. So this is supposed to be 80. Yeah. So question mark is 80 degrees. Now, alternate exterior angles are congruent. Okay. So U is parallel to V. Sorry, you can't see that. You can't see that. But if you, I would encourage you to add this. Like, this is really what's happening. If this were to be 80, then we know that since alternate exterior angles are congruent, that line U is parallel to line V. Okay, UV. Fun stuff, eh? I know. Let's take this up a little bit. Take it up a notch. So come with me. We're gonna travel to, any other questions before I go to page 13? No questions? Okay. Let's go to page 13. And I'm going to ask you to solve, this could easily happen, right? This kind of question. I'm going to say this. Solve for x, right? Determine the value of x. So here what you need to do is, first of all, let's highlight the fact that these two lines are parallel. Okay? That means that this angle right here And this angle right here, we have a name for them. That it's called alternate exterior, correct? Alternate exterior angles are congruent. We know that. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that this angle, which is written in a weird format, correct? Like what's going on with that? We're going to say 21x plus 6. That angle is going to be exactly the same as this angle, which is what? In degrees. It's a 90. Okay. So now you're going to do algebra. That's it. So 21x is equal to 90. What happens to the 6? And you bring it over. Yes, you go minus 6. So 21x is equal to 84. And now we divide both sides by 21. So x equals to 4 degrees. Okay. You could now technically go back here and figure out what that is. It should be 90, technically, like that angle in itself. So check 21 times 4, because x is equal to 4, plus 6, that's 84, plus 6, and that's equal to 90 degrees. Okay, so we know that this angle is technically 90 as well. Okay. What about this one? What do we know these two angles as? Corresponding, right? Okay. So we know that corresponding angles are the same. So we know that they're equal, correct? So we're going to go 75 degrees is equal to this angle right here, which is 11x minus 2. Sorry, it's a little hard to see, but it's minus 2 there. So what do we do now? We want to basically isolate for x. So you can bring this over to the other side. And what happens when you bring terms over, the sign changes. Okay. So that 77 is equal to 11x. Divide both sides by 11. X is equal to 7 degrees. So in this case, all it's asking for is to figure out what x is. Okay. And you solve. Let's try, I'm going to ask you to do the rest of these here in a bit. I'm going to try one that has a CIA in it because it's a little different. Let's try 25 on page 14. And then I'll give you the rest of the class to just work through all of these pages that I've assigned today. So whatever I haven't done, it's on you, okay? Over here, these ones are called CIAs. Okay? CIAs in this case are equal to 180 degrees, correct? We know that when lines are parallel, that those add up to 180 degrees. What's that? They're both 90. It could be. I'm not sure. It could be 180. It could be, right? It depends. 70, 110. So what we're going to do to find out for sure is this is an angle and this is an angle. Folks, it's an angle just written in terms of x. That's what it is. So you take this angle, x plus 96, and you're going to add the other CIA. Okay? X plus 96. And these two angles added is equal to 180. So that's how CIAs are done differently. You have to actually add the two angles in question here. And we don't need the brackets because it's all adding. Okay, so it's basically x plus 96 plus x plus 96 is equal to 180. How many x's? 2, right? 2x. 96 and 96. It's 192. And all of that is equal to 180. You're okay, right? So that's this constant. I'm going to bring that over. So it's going to be 2x is equal to 180 minus 192. Uh-oh, I've got a negative, right? Just keep going. 180 minus 192 is negative 12. Right? Because it's 180 minus 192. Divide both sides by 2. This is weird, I know, but it's going to make sense in a bit. Negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6 degrees. That's what x is equal to. If you were to plug negative 6 up here, what's negative 6 plus 96? 90. Negative 6 plus 96? 90. That's what we want. Well, it won't always be 90, but in this case it does make sense. Okay? So we can do a check here. Where will I do this? Here, check. Negative 6 plus 96 is 90 degrees. Okay? And then negative, sorry. Thank you. I appreciate the, that can't be Mr. Dixon. That's not right. So both of these are 90. They're the same. So we solve for x or y, whatever comes your way. And then you don't have to plug it in today. I'm just showing you that you might have to down the road. And so I will stop here. So your homework, let me just go back. It's going to go to 14, to this page. But where does it start? It starts all the way on page 9, I believe. Yeah. So pages 9 to 14, you can't see that because it's not on the screen. There you go. Pages 9 to 14, whatever you haven't done, and I will post these pages, okay? So, do yourself a favor and make sure you do every single one of these questions. Because if you're fluent with, this is alternative exterior, interior, corresponding, like if you're fluent with that, everything else will be much easier for you. Because let me tell you, this is a very simple version of what's to come. There's going to be lots of lines going every which way. And so if you are able to do this part, it's going to be much easier for you to do the rest, okay? So use the rest of the class. You can listen to music, do whatever you need to do, but just stay on task, okay? Thank you.